Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
Melissa Longo has popped in because, hey, she felt like it.
Hey.
Yeah.
And I can't read times, so
we are going to have even more fun than we were going to. So thanks for playing with us, Melissa. Here are the trivioids of the week, of the month, I should say, of this crazy Deep Space Nine deep dive. Here it comes. The best rat actor in the quadrant makes his debut. Bashir offers Garrick some Tarkalian tea. Tanalos requests a political asylum. Sisko wants a few docking regulations to keep Gul Dunar outside for a while. Did you recognize Gul Dunar?
Mm-hmm.
Major Kira tells on Commander Sisko, and the Admiral totally tells on Major Kira after that. Klingons do not surrender their weapons. The term politician is an insult to Major Kira, which was great. Odo can't imitate humanoid pretense, and the Joranian ostrich hides by sticking its head underwater sometimes until it drowns. Now, that was confusing for me. So Gul Dunar was our good friend Vaughn Armstrong.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was great.
Like, that's fun. But I had watched the Seventh Rules review of this episode with Aaron, and he spoiled the news in that review. And then when I was watching it last night, I was like, oh yeah, that totally is fun.
Yeah, I had to pause and go to IMDb. I was like, let me make sure. Pause, check. I was like, that's our guy, Gul Dunar.
Couldn't unsee him after.
Wasn't that one of the James Bond movies, Gul Dunar?
I think it's.
Oh gosh.
Isn't it Finger?
No, it's
wow.
Never mind.
Oh,
moving on.
Yeah.
So sorry. It's not worth
Sorry.
Yeah,
I ruined
sorry,
it
everybody.
worse.
I was watching it. Goldfinger.
Goldfinger. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that James Bond movie, the Goldfinger movie. But no, I thought Dinar and Damar was so close. I actually had to rewind it a few times. I was like, did they say Damar? Is this a different Damar? And then I just realized, I guess everybody in Cardassia has a very similar name. Dinar, Damar, Jafar,
Jafar.
Jafar.
I did want to point out also, Cirroc, written by Catherine Powers. As soon as I typed that in, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We know that name, right? She co-wrote Code of Honor. And then when I saw that, it made me rethink what I just watched. And I was like,
yeah,
did I recognize a writing style, or did she just learn from her mistakes 5 years later? And this was a good episode.
Right. This was a way different episode than Code of Honor.
Yeah. I don't know. I that's the other thing I noticed when I was watching this episode was how serious the characters are.
Exactly.
When I was comparing it to the beginning and the early seasons of Next Generation was a lot more loose and kind of jokey, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And this seems way more. The tone is serious, and there's a lot of drama in this.
This is like
show.
Word for word what I wanted to bring up. When I watched this, I thought the same thing. I was like, this is what I'm noticing today that I hadn't noticed before. The stark contrast, in early 1993 versus 1987, Deep Space Nine versus Next Generation. Next Generation, that second episode was The Naked Now, where they're prancing around, they're humping each other, dudes playing with isolinear chips like they're building blocks. And this one isn't just a more serious situation all around. Like the story itself is way more serious, but there's also just so much more drama. And darkness, and it's just dark. It's heavy. It's dramatic. Stark difference.
Yeah. Well, but it also feels like we are definitely taking a plunge into this universe, this world. It for me, it was a wonderful world building as a whole. We get to learn more about the Bajorans. We get to learn more about, the political struggles that they're going through, having just being liberated. And I love that stuff. I love diving deep into seeing what makes people tick. And we got to see more of the Cardassians and their, cultural personalities. And yeah, I love that stuff. I love that it dives deep like that.
The other thing I noticed was in the early beginnings of Next Generation, in the first few episodes, there is no real opposition to Picard. Picard is the boss. Everybody recognizes that, and he doesn't really run into conflict who questions his authority outside of the alien guests of the show, like Q comes on and might question his authority, and other aliens will come on. But as far as the crew is concerned, nobody challenges his authority. But in this episode of Past Prologue, I realized how much Kira challenges Sisko. Like, she's not on the team. She's not with. She's not with his plan. She's not with Federation.
It's like a necessary evil to her. She's like, for now, and that's why she took politician to be such an insult. When the guy said, "Oh, I didn't realize you'd become such a politician," she's just like, "Watch your mouth, buddy."
Right. And she challenges Sisko in a lot of ways because there is a distrust there early on in this. Right? Sisko doesn't really trust her. Right? He's like, they're like, "Should we tell her?" And he's like, "Well, no, let's not tell her, and let's watch what she does and keep an eye on her." And there's a distrust, and even in her end, there's a distrust. She doesn't trust Sisko and doesn't trust the Federation, and so there's this mutual distrust for each other, and there's a challenge to his governing style, or his, how his leadership. How he decides to lead. So I think there's a lot of conflict there. And right off the bat, I realized that the DS9 writers and the producers have a very good understanding of how to escalate the drama in scenes. There's not too much going and getting along. And, oh yeah, everybody's fine. We're all kumbaya. It's always, I say yes, you say no. You say black, I say white. There's always a conflict in these scenes, and I think that's what makes it so interesting as far as drama is concerned.
That is rule number one in screenwriting. Every scene must have all conflict, and anybody that tells you, "Oh yeah, but not this," they're wrong. There's always, sometimes you just have to dig a little bit deeper, even if they're like, "Oh, it's just two people, flirting with themselves. There's no conflict." Nope. One of them is flirting because they want something else, or one of them is not really sure if they want it, or there's something going on. There's always that conflict, and Deep Space Nine nails that. Like every scene, there's a push and a pull, and
and
the
there's
scenes
always a why. There is a push and a pull. There's always a backstory from why Kira is pushing up against Sisko, and why Sisko is pushing back, and why he's so
why
patient
Garrick is
with her.
pushing up against Bashir.
right. But there's always a reason. It's not just thrown in there for the sake of conflict. There's a
purpose. There's a purpose. There's a purpose behind it.
Yes, there's a purpose.
Like even when Gold Dinar comes on the ship, and he says something to the effect of, Sisko says, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to give him, what is the word? not immunity, but
Asylum.
Amnesty.
asylum. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Asylum.
right. When they're arguing the terms of the asylum and whether you should grant it or not, there's conflict there, right? And the Cardassian is saying, I didn't threaten the station. There's a conflict there. I didn't threaten the station. I'm coming for this fugitive. And there's always this conflict going on. Even the scene I felt like when Kira comes into Odo's office, and it's really great to watch the Kira Odo stuff scenes now because I know where it's going to end. Yeah. So it's like the beginning of a really beautiful relationship where you get to see just how they talk to each other when they're not together. And there's a respect there, but there's also, a curiosity. And then Odo did that one move where I really loved where he's like, Odo to Sisko, there's somebody in my office who wants to talk to you. And I love the way he did that.
She's like, oh, I guess this is what we're doing now. And he's like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed a moment like that when he put his pad down on the console. Mm-hmm. He made a decision. He's like, okay, I'm not going to look at this anymore because she needs to talk. And then he deliberately puts the pad on the console. And I was like, wow, what a great moment that was. Because you could see the choice and the moment that he decided to quit working and listen to his friend. Great moment by Renee.
And she was so wholesome and really battling herself in that moment when she talks to him, because she's like, she's wrestling between these two allegiances that she has, right? This old way of that she used to be as opposed to who she is now, and the decisions she's trying to wrestle with. Is she doing the right thing? And it's really that internal conflict inside of her is something that she really communicates well on screen. I felt it.
Mm-hmm. We're going to hop into our next segment in just a minute. And when we do, I'd like to spend that segment talking about, and this is just what I'd like, you guys don't have to, whether that was an actual rat actor or whether that was Odo, Rene Auberjonois playing Odo, playing a rat. Because I think he was really the makeup. If you look closely, I think had some of his.
It is funny that you said that, because there was a line in this episode where he says, to Kira, he says, just like I have difficulty making the ridges in my nose, and
then he went,
and I'm thinking
like that, wiggled his rat nose to throw us off a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Bewitched.
Yeah, like Bewitched, right? Yeah. But I was thinking, you could turn yourself into a rat, but you can't put some wrinkles in your nose. That doesn't seem that hard.
Well, we're going to really dig deep into this. And so everybody stay tuned. We're not just going to let this die. We're going to keep hammering it home on this. Look how scared Malissa looks. She's like, but there's so many better things to talk about.
No, because I'm thinking, you got the wheels turning.
The rat wheel on the 7th rule.